Why do my graphics look so bad? And why am I not getting any frames? Huh. So that's why. Well, time to upgrade my graphics card. I've been meaning to get an upgrade. Wait. RTX 4070 Ti Super? Radeon RX 7800 XTOC? Intel Arc B580? What do these names even mean? And are they even better than my 1070? If you've ever been confused about GPU naming schemes, like me, 4 seconds ago, then this video is for you. Although easier to understand than CPU naming schemes, it can still be a bit challenging understanding what's good and what's bad in a brand you've never heard of. So today we'll break down Nvidia, AMD, and even Intel's GPU lineup naming schemes, so you know what's better to buy and how to compare different GPUs within their respective brands. Starting off with the big dog of the GPU market, Nvidia. Now their GPUs aren't actually that hard to understand, they aren't complicated by any means, so this one will go by pretty quick. Now I know you may be asking, what's the difference between GTX and RTX on their cards? Is there even a difference? Well, you see, it was mostly just marketing, and to show off that the RTX cards had much better ray tracing than GTX. See, the GTX cards only had that name for the 10 and 16 series, while RTX has its name on the 20, 30, 40, and most definitely the 50 series of graphics cards. Now onto the actual naming. Nvidia's GeForce GPU naming scheme includes a series number to show the generation, e.g. 40 and 4070, a placement number to indicate its relative performance within the series, e.g. 70 is mid-range while 80 and 90 is higher end, and sometimes there's a suffix to show that it has better performance. Their suffixes include Ti, short for titanium, which means that it has a higher performance boost compared to non-Ti GPU cards, e.g. more CUDA cores or more VRAM. And Super, which means that it has a higher performance boost, like the Ti, except it also has a higher factory clock speed. It also serves as a midway point between Ti and non-Ti cards. Then there's the more recent Super Ti, which is much more powerful than both, having more CUDA cores than the Ti and more VRAM and much higher base clock speed. Now the second in command for the GPU market, AMD. AMD's Radeon lineup is actually almost the exact same as the Ryzen lineup of CPUs in terms of the naming scheme, except all Radeon GPUs start their name with RX. AMD's Radeon GPU naming scheme includes a series number to show the generation, e.g. 7 in 7600, a placement number to indicate its relative performance within the series, e.g. 600 in 7600 is mid-range while the 7700 XT has much higher performance. Then there is a third placement number, not used much, but it's sometimes used to represent that one model is better than the previous. So the RX 6650 XT is better than the RX 6600 XT. And then there is a suffix, such as XT and XTX, not so different from the Ti and Super Ti in Nvidia's GPU naming scheme. Fun fact, if you didn't know this, the XT suffix actually stands for extreme. You can hear it in the name. It's always these small little details that make people like me happy. Now onto the underdog of the GPU market, Intel being a relatively new contender to the general GPU market, with good enough performance from launch, but it keeps getting better with each driver update. But oh, do those battle-made GPUs look promising. Intel Arc GPUs use a substantially different naming scheme compared to AMD and Nvidia, but still being relatively simple to understand. See, they named their GPUs from A to Z using the Latin alphabet. So at the moment we have their Alchemist lineup and their Battle Mage lineup releasing fairly soon. And then there are those rumored Celestial and Druid cards. But hey, that's in the future. The Intel Arc naming scheme includes a letter of the alphabet to show its generation, e.g. A in A750, and B for the Battle Mage lineup. A number to indicate its relative performance within the series, e.g. 7 in A750. Fun fact about this one, they use the same performance indicators as their CPUs with their Intel Core 3, 5, 7, and 9, with their GPUs having an A380, A580, and A770. Then there is a last number to indicate its relative performance relative to that performance level in the series, e.g. 50 in A750 compared to the A770, which is much better. Then there is a suffix, though they're only used to distinguish whether they are a desktop or mobile GPU, but we'll still include them anyway. The desktop Intel Arc GPUs don't have a suffix, but the mobile or laptop Arc GPUs have the letter M at the end to represent mobile in the name. There are a few things to consider before you actually buy a GPU though. So for example, let's say you're going to get a gaming laptop instead of a desktop GPU that's the size of an actual brick. Now, let's say you're going to get a laptop with a 3070 GPU inside. Now remember, laptop GPUs are not the same as desktop GPUs. A laptop 3070 is not as powerful as a desktop 3070 because they have to cram in as much power possible into such a tiny space. And they also have to be as power efficient as possible too. Now if you are a desktop user and you're going to get a nice looking GPU, then you're wondering, oh my god, why does my GPU say OC? Like, what's the difference? Well, the difference is that OC graphics cards are able to be overclocked. But remember, when overclocking a GPU, your motherboard must also support overclocking. Now we've explained the GPU naming schemes for Nvidia, AMD, and even Intel. But just remember, there's always another brand equivalent if you're buying a GPU. So let's say you're short on a budget, or what you're looking for just isn't in stock where you live. Then there's always another brand equivalent. So let's say you're planning on getting the 7800 XT. But remember, that's the AMD equivalent of Nvidia's RTX 4070. And if you're looking for an RTX 4060 where you live, oh no, it's not in stock, then you can always get the Intel Arc B580, which is Intel's equivalent to that. This is Dan from Resolute. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please consider liking. It would help support our channel, and if you want to see it grow, please subscribe.